Hang on. Here with Brigitte Mars. We're going to do a little herb walk around the podcast studio location.
Well, right here we have a lovely herb growing right near this super elegant creek. This is called teasel, and it's a member of the Asteraceae or daisy family. So it is a relative of echinacea and burdock and calendula. One of the reasons why they call it teasel is because it is used to tease the nap on wool. So let's say you knitted a sweater and it was all flat from being in your, suitcase or something. You could use this to kind of make the wool fluffy again. However,
I might use it in my hair to tease my hair. Like sometimes my hair gets super like flat and oily. I wonder if that would work.
Well, the root of it is used as one of the premier remedies for Lyme disease. Dipsacus sylvestris. So, Emerson said a weed is an herb whose virtue has not yet been recognized. So,
right.
Teasel, it's good for something. Harvest the root, and that would be great. And let's see, what else do we have here?
Yeah, what's great about this yard too is in the spring, there was dandelion everywhere. And he doesn't use any pesticides. There's no pesticides around here. So I was literally eating dandelion right out of the yard.
So we have here a beautiful little blue flower. It's a relative of dandelion. It's called chicory, Chicorium intybus. And if you've ever had like Louisiana style coffee, where they use chicory root, they roast it and it becomes a coffee extender.
That's what this is?
Yeah, chicory. So the flowers are edible. It's a beautiful periwinkle blue color. It's like a little story. If you want to hear a story, there was this beautiful girl who had eyes this color. And she was like working in her garden. And one day the sun spoke to her and said, "I want you to be my bride." And she said, "Well, why would I want to go live in the sun? It's like really hot there. And I have my garden and my cat and my parents here." And the sun said, "I am not used to being refused." And he turned her into a chicory plant. So when the mother came home, she's looking everywhere for her beautiful daughter. And she saw this new plant with eyes, the flowers, the color of her daughter's eyes. So the mother, like a wise woman, goes to see the wise woman of the woods, the one who knows about the plants. And she said, "Something has happened to my daughter. I can't find her anywhere." And the wise woman looks in her scrying bowl and says, "Aha, yes, she's been turned into a plant." The sun had said, "She must gaze at me all day long with her beautiful blue eyes." And the mother said, "You must help me. You must help my daughter." And the wise woman of the woods said, "The sun is very powerful. I can't do much, but I can make it so she closes her eyes at noon and can rest." So chicory has edible leaves.
When we stop drinking coffee.
Yeah. So edible leaves, you can use the leaves much like dandelion leaves. It is, as I said, a relative of dandelions. So eat the leaves. It's the ancestor of endive and escarole, edible flowers, and medicinal root. And drinking chicory root tea actually helps to repair some of the damage done from drinking too much coffee. So there you go. Emerson said,
it's like a full circle.
It is.
It's full circle. And that's
Absolutely.
the beauty of plants. Like you can literally use them to their maximum capacity and then they just keep giving. Even when I worked at Herb Farm, like the leftover mark, then we learned how to, let's make spagyric. We would burn it, turn it into ash, and then incorporate that back into a tincture to grit the minerals. So it's like plants just keep giving and giving.
It's amazing.
Giving and giving.
When you think about it, like no one came and watered it or mulched it or fertilized it.
At Herb Farm. We did it at Wise Women Herbals.
Yeah. Oh, and no one planted it. I mean, it just is amazing. And there's a real strength in these wild plants that they survive adversity and they can help strengten us.
Right.
So
like
chicory.
That's one of my favorites.
High altitude.
Right? High altitude.
I love that.
But, okay, so let's pull out one and let's look at the root because I actually am going to make tea sometime.
Well, the best time to pull it out. The best time to pull out would be after the rain because right now I think it's going to break off.
All right, tell me.
And I would probably,
let's tell everybody how to do this.
After a good rain, I would come out with like a little hand trowel and dig it up. Then I would wash it.
Okay.
And I might slice it in lengthwise because you don't want it to dry on the outside and develop mold on the inside. So, and then dry it, and you can roast it in a very low oven, about 200 degrees for a couple hours till it's roasty, crispy. There you go, chicory root tea.
And then you grind it and then put
you
it
can grind it, or chop it.
Okay. Okay, so then, I'm making mocktails. I'm going to add this to one of my mocktail recipes.
Absolutely.
So let's maybe talk about, like, maybe you can help me come up with a fun recipe. Because I'm always looking for, like, alcohol replacement. Instead of an alcoholic drink, we do an NA drink. And maybe this one is the energizer.
Yeah.
You know, like for, stimulant for dancing. And
well, I'm thinking, because it does make a nice coffee-like tasting beverage, that maybe making it kind of like with cinnamon and cardamom and ginger, kind of like maybe a herbal Kahlua kind of thing. I was
thinking the same thing. I was like, some sort of like liqueur, coffee liqueur.
I would like that, a liqueur.
Kahlua, except with no hangover.
And maybe you could put some coconut milk in there to give it that, smooth it out. That's what I would think.
Desserty and or aperitif-y.
Absolument.
Oh my God. Okay.
Chicory. Absolument.
We're going to do this.
Okay.
So flowers are edible.
Yes, and
leaves
so beautiful.
Are just edible, and then we roast the root and we turn it into a tea, and then we're going to make a mocktail.
Everything you can do. Everything is something,
Everything is something. That's why I talk a lot about like pharma. We won't go there too much today, or we can, but how they all of our medicine is made from a plant.
Well, in 1900, about 80% of all pharmaceuticals were made from plants, but they often found out we could synthesize it for cheaper, or just look for what they think is the one active ingredient. Like chicory contains inulin, which is, uses a prebiotic to help give food for the probiotic, chicory root. We try so hard.
Because when you isolate and you manipulate and you fuck around with it as the man.
Well, we try so hard in a laboratory to do this amazing things.
Which we can,
and yet
because we're brilliant, but
the plants are doing it all the time.
Yes.
They know how to harvest the sun and photosynthesis and chlorophyll, which oxygenates our planet. You can try to do it in the laboratory. It's almost like, the best light show at the most amazing rock festival, doesn't even really compare to the sunrise, which just happens seemingly effortlessly.
Yes. But the reason I want to bring this up, because I think this is important, because the whole podcast is about the premise of the fuckery of, these substances that we put into our body that were sold over the counter or by anywhere. And we're told that it's okay. But when it starts to be manipulated and changed, our bodies become, then they don't recognize it as well. They become dependent upon alcohol, right? But then when we manipulate and change these beautiful plants, our bodies don't respond to them as well.
Maybe make that straighter.
Okay. Yep. Well, I do.
Okay. So, I totally hear what you're saying. And it's almost like there's this belief that, nature can't be good enough. We have to surpass it.
Because you can't patent a plant.
You can't, absolutely. Right. You can't patent a plant.
There's no money in
who's going to pay $50 million to do research on, the dandelion, when
everybody can grow them and then we're trying to kill them.
They're trying to kill it. And, and dandelion root has anti-cancer properties, and people spray cancer-causing chemicals on their yard to kill
and they still live.
Yeah, they still live.
They still live. They come back. Do you hear this? This is what's important for people to understand.
So these plants are Jedi warriors.
Yes.
They have figured out the key to surviving adversity.
Mm-hmm. And they grow up through the cracks in the sidewalk, and they grow everywhere. We cannot stop them. So you try to get rid of the dandelions.
And the ones that grow through the cracks in sidewalks are often good for breaking up stones in the body, like kidney stones and gallstones. So, it's almost like they don't want us to know this. And of course, the wise women,
want us to know that.
The herbalists and the midwives,
but we're telling it. I don't have a certification or a doctorate or anything, so nobody can shut me the fuck up. So I can say whatever I want. I don't work for a company anymore. I don't work for a brand, and I know what the fuck is going on out there. Excuse my language, but not excuse. I know, but but when you're working for a company that is selling this over the counter, we can't say anything about it. But I do think that it's important for people who watch these things to understand that, you know, you can't patent this plant because anybody can go out and pick it. But once you start just to tweak it and change it just a little bit from its original intent, which we're now doing a lot. And that's why our bodies don't recognize the beauty of these, and we start getting all of these horrible side effects. All right. Well, you keep going.
So, well, and another thing about these plants, these are growing wild. So these aren't even in somebody's garden.
Right.
Nobody planted it. No. Nobody gave it mulch or fertilizer or, any type of tending, and it still survives. And, here it is. It's late summer. And already, these plants are still surviving. And look, it's providing pollination for the bee. Is and right what a beautiful color. And, so this is just great news. And so, I think we've been bamboozled big time. And,
yes.
I don't want
it. We're change makers. We're trailblazing.
We're changing it, but it's really coming out that we have been bamboozled by the companies to think that we couldn't possibly know what to eat in the wild.
Right.
And if we think about our ancestors, they didn't I have to go to the grocery store to make a salad. They would go out in the yard. And I've learned that if you learned about some of the weeds that growing in your garden, you have twice as much food.
Look at them coming and hanging out with us.
So, bees pollinate something like 3 out of every 4 bites of food we eat. So just by allowing this to flourish in your yard is good news.
Yeah, early in the spring, it was mow the lawn. And I'm like, what? No. And I did it once. And then I talked to the lawn the whole time. I'm like, I'm sorry I'm doing this. It's the highest setting. But this is way better than putting gasoline, or even if they're electric, right? Or battery powered, but cutting down our grasses and making them short. And it takes away from the moisture in the air. The soil has to work harder. The plants, then you're just chopping them off. It's just no, let's just let them grow wild. The start is beautiful.
And the grass requires about a third of our nation's water to grow.
Yes, it's
and
ridiculous.
The dandelions don't need much. And there's this myth out there that the dandelions kill the grass. And the truth is the grass dies.
Right.
And the dandelions are still standing. They didn't kill the grass. They're just surviving the adversity of the oppressive heat.
And that's why plants are so powerful, because they, you think about, you're getting their instinct for survival passed through us through osmosis. When you ingest that, you are getting the power of that plant surviving in the wild.
I know.
Good luck to you surviving at 10,000 feet, right? Mm-hmm. But that plant does, and then that's what helps us breathe.
Yeah. And if you imbibe that herb,
the shit that we're getting down here
that grows at the high altitude, like rhodiola or Osha or Grindelia, that's going to help you acclimate. And very often what we need is growing right around us.
Somebody in here decided I needed a slice. I'm bleeding. I don't know what that was, but it's probably the grass, right? Some of the grasses can be sharp.
Yeah, no, they call them blades of grass for a reason. Right. Don't ever try wiping yourself when you pee in the woods with grass. No. Find a nice fluffy leaf that isn't poison ivy.
All right, we're going to go on a little herb walk. Hallelujah. Is this oregano?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I've been making a lot of fresh tomato, basil. So I'm actually gonna take a few of these right now and add them to my lunch.
Oregano. So, we can go in the front and see what else there might be. There's some garden mint right here. More chicory, lots of dandelions.
Okay, so this is oregano. Right there in the yard. Right there in the yard.
What's that?
Oregano. Right there in the yard. Yeah. And mint. Right in the yard.
Someone must have planted it at one time.
Yeah. But I just bought fresh mint the other day at the grocery store, but I could have just come out here and just used this.
Well, mints hybridize really easily. So people, if you plant peppermint and your spearmint, they kind of like merge together. But the mint mint family incorporates or includes a lot of our culinary herbs. Like oregano is a mint, so is basil, thyme, rosemary, sage. So people like say, "Oh, don't plant mint; it'll take over. Plant it in a pot so it doesn't take over." And I say, "Well, so what if it takes over? Because you can always cut it and dry it and have mint tea for the winter. You know, there's so many good things about mint. Great digestive aid, freshens your breath, good for stomach ache, colic, has antiviral properties. We can also use it in the culinary arts. I prefer spearmint to add to things like hummus or tabbouleh salad, but even just smelling it, you know, it's like revivifying, like kind of activates you. So that mint family, technically called the Lamiaceae family, they always have a square stem. And it's kind of like one of those trick SAT questions. All mints have a square stem, but not all square stems are mints.
Okay? Yes.
Yeah.
I got you. I'm tracking you. Okay.
But
so all mint is square.
All mint family members. Yeah.
Okay.
So motherwort, lemon balm, a lot of the culinary herbs.
I love lemon balm.
So let's say you have a lot of mint. You want to cut it when it's just starting to flower. That's the best time. You can dry it loosely in a paper bag. Very easy to do. And then when it's dry, you could, put it in little jars, put a bow on it, and give all your friends a little jar of mint tea for the holy days.
It's so funny. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, I gotta write all this down. I gotta take notes. And I'm like, oh.
And it's all in my books. It's all here. In my 18 books. But another nice thing we can do with mint in the summer is take your mint, whether fresh or dried, put it into a lost sock. Do you have a lost sock collection? Tie it up and then throw it in the bath, hot water. And then when the water cools down, take a tepid bath. And mint is actually a refrigerant. It'll lower your body temperature. Yeah. And
I wish I would have known this 2 months ago. Seriously.
Yeah.
It was hot AF.
So I took a lot of mint
baths. I'm going to Guatemala. I'm going to take some with me.
Yeah, good. Maybe she'll label it. Label it so they don't think it's something.
I'm sure I'll find something.
But
no, this is great.
Yeah.
What about you could put these in a cold plunge.
Well, you don't want to gum up your plumbing too. That's why I say tie it into a loose
if you were just having
something.
If you have one of those horse troughs right there.
Absolutely.
And outside, you could have a cold plunge.
Well, that would be so fun. If you like cold plunges.
Right. Well, you could even have it tepid.
So, mentha. Another herb that supposedly was a woman, mentha, a nymph who was being pursued, I think, by Zeus. And so she got turned into a mint plant, mentha. Mint, that was the name of the nymph. A lot of stories like that in mythology.
I'm sure there are.
We need to make new myths.
I have been,
for a better day.
Yes, trailblazing for new myths. Well, that's one of my taglines is just revealing the myths and the stigmas and the untruths about what we've been told. And instead of fighting it and being like, they're wrong, it's just like, that's how we evolve. That was one way that we used to do it. And as human beings, we're so creative and inventive and whatnot. We're like, well, we can make medicine out of these plants. And now that we're knowing, we can now just go back to actually using the plants.
And
cut out the middleman. Should we cut out the middleman?
Well, I do that.
Cut them out.
I do that a lot.
There's a lot of medicine that is very, very valuable that you cannot just go out to your yard
and certainly, things like antibiotics can save lives. And if you watch the series Outlander, which I love, when Claire time travels back to the 1700s, she brings some penicillin with her. And when she runs out, she learns to make it. So I don't want it to be about us and them.
No,
like, how can we put our heads and hearts together?
Yes.
So something that I was telling my students at Naropa University yesterday is like, when we have an illness, first of all, we should look at what is this trying to tell me? Am I partying too much, drinking too much, not sleeping, eating too much sugar? So, look at the cause. And people are like, no, just give me a drug. So this malady isn't happening any longer. But And then, energetically, is there something we could do? Like, well, I could go to bed earlier. I could eat less sugar.
Right.
I could, go to therapy with my partner, or I could start journaling, or maybe, do yoga, or.
It's like she's describing my awakening. That's how it all started. It's like, I'm not sleeping well, and I'm not feeling as good as I should be. And I'm doing some journaling, and I'm doing tarot cards, and I'm doing all these things to like make myself feel better. And I was like, something's blocking me. Well, luckily I wasn't on any pharmaceuticals or any of the, antidepressants or anti-anxiety. Like I was using plants already. So I was like, what is going on with me? Like I should be fucking blissful and happy. And it was the wine. And once I gave that up, then it was like, skyrocketed into like, this is bliss.
So first off, like, what is this trying to tell me? And then,
and
then we look at, well, can I do anything to improve my diet? Like bring something in or take something out. So maybe it's the wine or the gluten or the sugar or the corn or the peanut butter or the
processed
milk or cheese or, things like that.
Even just start with processed. Like if you don't want to cut it all out, just kind of start going more natural and see what you can use. Just read some labels and be like, okay, I'm going to cut out a few like processed man-made things and go back to the earth.
And then after we've looked at food, then we can look at herbs.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Usually they might be growing in your backyard or available at the health food store or the herb shop. And then there's vitamins. You don't need a prescription, you could do vitamin C or D or E. Might help. I know when I first started working a retail job, I said, oh my God, I'm getting varicose veins. And I took vitamin E for a while, and that was the end of that. Like, 40 years later, I don't have.
She's young, and she's like, why am I getting varicose veins? But it's E.
And tell her to eat blueberries. They're good for peripheral circulation, and horse chestnut cream. Okay, so then we've got supplements, and then there are drugs. Then there are surgeries. If you want to have your veins stripped out, which is the medical way of dealing with varicosities, it doesn't cure the problem. It just makes the symptoms less noticeable for a while. But, most often when people go to the doctor, they start out with the drugs and the surgery. Start out with drugs. But so there's probably a lot of self-care things that you can do relatively inexpensively without a visit. And these things are probably going to be good for everything else in your health. Better skin, better sleep, better energy, better mood. And you're also supporting fields of living, growing things and farmers and local people. So there's all that. Like I always say, what would you rather have in your neighborhood? Like a big chemical company spewing toxins into the air and the water, or a lavender farm where there's,
or even a, and let's even take it a step further. Like let's go back even from the monoculture, right? Like a lot of this shit just grows together, right? We don't have to have a full field of, well, maybe lavender, but like, I think I look at these like almond farms, and hazelnut farms, because it's like everybody's eating walnuts and hazelnuts, and it's like, then they just strip the land and then it's all just one crop. And I'm like, can we not do that either? Like we're finding that just it worked for a while, but now we don't really need to do that. Well, there's enough food. These plants we waste a lot of food, right? We waste a lot of land on food that we don't really necessarily need. And plants can just grow so heartily. Like this could make a lot of tea.
Or pesto. This is all oregano. We could be making pesto.
A whole grocery shelf for maybe a few months.
And if you think about one of the things that's going on in developing nations, they're often growing our addictions. They're growing tobacco, they're growing cocaine, they're growing coffee, they're growing sugar cane. And then they sell those products, and then they buy the foods that are undermining their health instead of, the quinoa and the beans and the pumpkin and the, small purple potatoes and all the things. So that's unfortunate. And I've been in really, and I'm sure you have, really like small towns way far away. And the one little store, it's selling,
Cheetos
jelly beans and artificially colored things that are like, whoa, that's too bad that's all
Gummy
you can
bears,
get.
Soda at the yin yang. And, it's like, I could we could go down that rabbit hole. You know, and the reservations or the less, you know, the more marginalized communities have very little access to healthy foods. And they're usually the ones growing. Well, if they've been monoculture, to corn. Well, where I'm from the Midwest, and it's like cornfields for miles. And that was like a really like good thing. Like, we've got corn everywhere. And it's like, oh God, we're surrounded by fucking corn.
And corn used to be like small, red, blue, purple. Same with potatoes. They weren't these big white starchy blobs. So again, and there is a difference between hybridization and genetically modifying. Like plants hybridize, like the spearmint will cross-pollinate with the apple mint or the chocolate mint.
They're evolving just like we are.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, hey, you want to be my friend? Let's, we grow good together.
But a shrimp does not naturally cross-pollinate with a potato.
No.
That doesn't happen.
Yet. All right. Should we move to the next spot?
Yes, sure.
All right. We're going to take a little